Ready, set, hut, hut.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sound of gold and blue football.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Now let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50, the 10, to 5. A touchdown, West Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Patrick White. Touchdown, Tavon Austin.
The Don Nehlen's Mountaineers enjoy walking in where angels feared to tread.
I think you think that these guys are going to fall over dead for you. Well, I got news for you. They're going to punch you right in the mouth. It's Mountaineer pride.
Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football. West Virginia football.
We've no doubt tonight they shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue. Not this night.
They've done it. They've done it. A perfect season. And the Mountaineers, for the first time in history, undefeated and untied.
Don Nehlen and his Mountaineers, for the second time, have finished a regular season with an unblemished mark.
Ain't no stopping the gold and blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into another live stream here on the Country Roads webcast, April 14th edition, and here for another WVU basketball transfer portal update as the Mountaineers have nabbed yet another commitment from the portal, another big man to join into the fold. They're doing a great job building that front court for this first season in Coach Hodge's debut season. We'll talk about that commitment momentarily. And then we have, I believe, 4 other names that we're going to add to our transfer contact list here as that continues to grow. West Virginia continues to look to add more players in this transfer class. So that'll be this streams here. What's on the docket for it is pretty much just all basketball related here as far as transfer portal updates. That's what we're going to get into. Appreciate you guys tuning in live, whether on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. Those of you that are on Facebook or Twitch, encourage you to come over to the CRW YouTube channel, subscribe here so you can get access to the pre-recorded videos and podcast episodes as well. I put out both of those over the past week. Just yesterday, we put out a recruiting update on the football side in pre-recorded fashion. So be sure you get over here and hit that subscribe button to the CRW YouTube channel to stay up to date on all what's going on throughout WVU football and WVU basketball, in addition to just these live streams here. But we're going to keep these coming, continue to provide you transfer portal updates from both sports, roster updates for both sports, recruiting updates via these live streams as well. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are here on YouTube, whether watching live or on a playback, just hit that thumbs up button. Help us out with the algorithm. See, we got some people in here in the chat already. What's going on, Matt Dix? Appreciate you as always, man. And Big Dan T with the $9.99 super chat. Always super kind. Big Dan T, appreciate you too, brother. Great and loyal Mountaineer fans right there, Matt Dix and Big Dan T. And we got a bunch of those that'll pop up in the chat throughout the stream. And if you guys do, be sure, any questions, comments you got there, throw them in. I'll try and get to them here before we wrap up the show. See you in there, Michelle Weintraub. Good to see you as well. Appreciate you also. But any other questions, comments, I'll get to here once we get through the update on the new addition in Jackson Fields, who we'll talk about first. And then we have 4 more names to talk about, and we'll talk about the transfer target list, who might be on commitment watch, as we like to do throughout these streams here. That's what we'll get into on this one as well. So let's lead it off. Let's talk about Jackson Fields a little bit here, as we saw him put out his commitment yesterday on Instagram. Right here is what he put out there. You see the graphic, and it says, Morgantown, let's do it, #committed. And it was funny because I'd just seen, like the night prior to that, someone had made a transfer portal prediction for him to land at WVU. Been sharing some of those transfer portal predictions here on these streams in the past, and got another one to share as well later. But once I saw that, I was like, okay, cool. We'll talk about it in the next stream. And then yesterday, I did that football recruiting update and didn't get a chance to do a live stream. And of course, he committed right after that. So I was like, well, we'll do one in the morning before I go into work today. And so here we are. Jackson Fields is now going to be a Mountaineer, expanding that transfer portal class, which we'll pull up here momentarily. You see Ethan Bach putting out his numbers, 7.9 points, 4.8 rebounds, 49%. But let's take a deeper look here as we pull up his numbers on ESPN. Then we'll take a look at the Commitment 101, get a little bit more information on him from Keenan Cummings, who has done a great job covering these transfers and high school commitments. I always like to share his work from the rival side over there. But before we do, let's take a look at Jackson Fields' numbers here on ESPN from this past season. Of course, Troy was an NCAA tournament team, and he was a key piece on that Troy team. One of their big men down low there, 6'8", 210-pound guy. Kind of a four-man, but he also can shoot from the outside. I think in a lot of ways his game, his body style, the frame similar to that of Brennan Lorient, who I think will probably be the starter. But, there'll be a competition, I'm sure. But Fields maybe a little bit better on the shooting side of things. But I think, when you look at the forwards West Virginia has added, whether it's Brennan Lorient from the transfer portal, Jackson Fields now from the transfer portal, and then you look at DJ Thomas, the high school recruit they're bringing in, all three are around the similar size. I think Lorient 6'9", 215, Fields 6'8", 210, and then same goes for DJ Thomas, who's also 6'8", right around 210 as well. So they know what they're looking for sure in the portal here. And one of those things is guys that can rebound. You can see he can do that as well. A high field goal percentage and really good on the defensive end, also averaging nearly a block per game, which falls right in line with, the bigger guys that they've added here in this front court thus far. You see his numbers there from 33%. He even had a 41% season earlier in his career. So he can shoot it from the outside. He also can do some good work down low in the post, though, with his size. Good from the free throw line, 72%. We mentioned the 5 rebounds, which is really good. And his rebound totals have increased each year. So who knows, maybe he'll put that up near 6 or 7 this year at WVU. And then good on defense as well, nearly a block per game, half a steal per game, and of course 8 points. Nothing to thumb your nose up at. So there is that from ESPN. Now let's pull this up here from Rivals, get a little bit more info here on the latest edition of the Mountaineers transfer class as it continues to both expand and improve, in my opinion. Jackson Fields here, transfer 101 from Keenan Cummings over on Rivals. Like we said, 6'8", 210 pounds, entered the transfer portal March 24th and picked the Mountaineers after spending 3 seasons with Troy and seen his production increase in each of those campaigns. Of course, we talked about the numbers a little bit. Let's go here to fitting the program. Fields is an athletic forward that can both finish at the rim and even be an efficient three-point option. He plays with strength, which allows him to score through contact and does most of his work around the basket. He has good size and length, which he uses effectively to finish rolling or cutting to the rim or on putbacks, which the rolling or cutting portion there is really good because we've talked in the past about how Ross Hodges' system is going to kind of be that 4-out, 1-in system. You're going to have one big guy, which Harlan Obioha is going to be probably the first team one. We'll see who we get to back him up. We got some options we'll talk about there when we talk about these transfer portal targets momentarily. But you're going to see guys like Brennan Lorient, guys like Jackson Fields here coming up and setting a screen for the point guard a lot. The offense is, heavily reliant on pick and roll, and they're going to be your roll men. And then you're going to have some shooters on the wings as well. But he can be effective as that pick and roll man. He shot 33% from 3 and is a reliable option as a 4-man in catch and shoot situations, making him a versatile option as well on the offensive end that can make opponents pay by not bringing their bigs out to defend him in pick and pop situations. So not only on the pick and roll, but pick and pop as well. As we talked about, he can shoot from the outside. Fields, like most of the other front court additions, is also an effective offensive rebounder, which is a trait that has been targeted. On the defensive end, Fields demonstrates the ability to use his length to affect or block shots and fits the mold of what Hodge wants out of his forwards. He also has the flexibility to defend multiple positions on the floor. West Virginia has been looking to round out the roster with quality athletes that bring versatility, and Fields certainly checks those boxes. So good stuff there from Keenan Cummings on Jackson Fields. Let's pull up our transfer portal tracker here now that we can add his name to the list. And we now have that up to 4 additions for WVU here. Of course, 3 of them in the front court with Obioha, Lorient, and now Fields. And then one extremely impressive guard. You guys know the one that I was really excited about, Honor Huff, who's going to be an amazing shooter and scorer for this team. You're looking at a really good, base here that you're starting with in the portal, and you have some guys that are really talented that you're targeting also. So let's talk about some of those momentarily, and then we will pull up our target list and talk about the full list and see who we can put on commitment watch there. But we have 4 new names to add to that list before we do just that. So let's talk about each of those here. Starting here with Marcus Millender, which would be another backcourt addition. I think that's what you'll see West Virginia grab soon is more guards. You have one in Honor Huff. You need another one. And then, of course, you need some reserves. You've got more front court players in these first few transfer commitments. So look for more flavor from the guard position here in the latter portion of this thing. And Marcus Millender from UTSA, highly sought after. Georgia, Florida State, West Virginia, Kansas State, VCU, VT, Texas A&M, UNLV, Wichita State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma State, Memphis, and Texas Tech have all reached out to him. So let's take a look at some of his numbers from last season. The transfer guard there with the nickname of Smurf. Marcus Millender, 5'11", 180. He is from Texas, but nearly 15 points per game. And when you look at anyone in the portal that's averaging, 15 plus points, that's, someone that's going to be highly sought after, that everyone's going after, because there's not a ton of double-digit scores in the transfer portal. That's why getting, Honor Huff that was, 17 plus points per game scorer was so big, and some of the additions West Virginia has made already. But Millender, yet again, will be another good scorer, another good person that could orchestrate the offense. The only thing I think you're looking at here with him is you probably would have to have him play a reserve role. Would he be willing to do that? Because I don't think you would have a backcourt of two guards, both right under 6 foot with Millender and Huff. So you probably would be trying to look at him to be a backup to Honor Huff. Would he be willing to do that if he has the opportunity to start somewhere else? That might hurt our chances with Millender, I'm afraid. But at the same time, he would still be going from, UTSA to a power conference school, so you could still entice him with that. But good numbers here nonetheless. 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 44% from the field and nearly 44% from the three-point line. So, if you were able to somehow get him, you would have some absolute snipers there in the backcourt with your additions that you've had thus far. Also an 87% free throw shooter and average nearly 2 steals per game. So seems to play some really good on-ball defense there. So there's Marcus Millender, who we're going to be adding to the transfer contact list when we pull it up momentarily. There's one of the new additions to talk about. Another one here. This is also from Tobias Bass on social media. Jacoby Coles, who probably familiar to some Mountaineer fans, began his career actually at TCU, has been at Grand Canyon since. He will need a medical waiver for his final season. As you see here, season-ending knee surgery during his freshman year at Butler, which I didn't even realize he was at Butler first. But this past season had a good year at Grand Canyon, seeking a final season where he's going to try and go to a new destination. Schools that have targeted him thus far: Arizona State, Oregon, Cal, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Iowa, Xavier, and Creighton. Of course, those are the ones that are involved. Let's take a look at some of his numbers from this past season when he was at Grand Canyon. Now, he is a forward, but he's a guy that I remember being able to pass the ball, handle the ball well, despite being someone that's, bigger size at 6'8", 230. I think he plays, kind of a different game, almost like a point forward style, but you can see he does grab rebounds, man. He will get in there with his good frame and grab some boards, which I think that's been kind of consistent with most of the forwards that we've targeted, has been, they need to be able to rebound the basketball. 14.5 points, nearly 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Shot nearly 52% from the field, which was top 75 in the country, did Jacoby Coles. You look at his full numbers, not his best year shooting the three. The year prior, he actually shot it a lot better, but still can shoot from the outside when he needs to. 77% from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. I think that's where you see kind of the difference in his game as to what he can do compared to, some other big men is, he can, run your offense a little bit. He can facilitate things. He can, find an open shooter and make the right pass. He's got a good basketball IQ to go with his good size. So I think he's a very versatile player. You also see nearly 1 block per game, over a steal per game. So the defensive prowess is there, which of course is something Coach Hodge is going to make a priority. So we'll keep an eye on Jacoby Coles as well. He's another one that'll be added to our contact list. And then 2 more still yet. Like I said, West Virginia out here working in the transfer portal in a big bad way. Let's pull this one up here and talk a little bit about Jamel Jones, as Sam Kaiser put out here on social media. Schools have reached out to Cal State Bakersfield transfer Jamel Jones, USC, UCF, Illinois, Seton Hall, Utah State, UNLV, St. Louis, St. Bonnie's, Bradley, Murray State, Charlotte, Southern Illinois, New Mexico State, and of course, West Virginia. And then you see the quoted tweet here from Kevin Sweeney of College Basketball Central. No one in college basketball takes more mid-range jumpers than Jamel Jones. Jones attempted 289 non-rim twos this season, 50 D1 teams that only attempted that all year. So there's a little bit of a trait that we know about Jamel Jones before we look at the numbers here, is that he does use the mid-range, which is something that's rare in today's day and age, really, is he can utilize that. But let's look at his numbers overall here. Pull up his stats from this past season, as West Virginia has reached out to the Cal State Bakersfield transfer. And what already jumps off the page is 19 points per game. That's top 45 in the entire country. I know you're looking Cal State Bakersfield, and you're probably like, really, someone from there? But I'm telling you guys, in basketball, there's so many good players that come from anywhere. You see guys go from D2 to D1 all the time and really make big impact on power conference teams. I think one of those was even on Florida. That was a previous D2 player this season. And Jamel Jones definitely going to be highly sought after when he's averaging that much there with 19 points per game. Also grabs 4 rebounds, nearly 2 assists. Doesn't have his height listed here, but he is 6'4". I was able to look that up. A 6'4" guard. He is a junior. Shot 48% from the field and averaging 19 points. So obviously can really shoot it. 35% from 3 kind of validates that. And like we said, there 4 rebounds, good rebounding numbers for a guard, 2 assists to 2 turnovers, not the best assist to turnover ratio, but you wouldn't have to have him, being your point guard. You would probably use him more as the combo guard, the shooting guard, the 2-man. So I don't think that's too much of a concern, really. 1-to-1's not the worst possible thing in the world, not the greatest, not what you want to see necessarily, but he does play some good defense there, averaging nearly a steal per game. But I think you're looking at him for his scoring capabilities would be Jamel Jones if you look to add him on the wing, and West Virginia is targeting him. And then lastly, how about a power conference player the Mountaineers are also targeting? And then we'll pull up our full target list here momentarily, and we'll try and see what guys I think we could put on commitment watch maybe. But West Virginia also targeting Iowa transfer Seydou Traore. The portal report sharing this one on social media. Programs that he has been contacted by are Memphis, Alabama, Washington State, Penn State, Georgia Tech, George Washington, Seton Hall, FAU, Colorado State, UNLV, and of course WVU. Repped by Weave, which I think is something of note here because that is the same agency that reps Honor Huff. So maybe a connection there even, could give West Virginia a leg up. But let's look at Seydou Traore's numbers at Iowa. So he's a guy with multiple years of eligibility remaining as a sophomore. And there's that, frame we were talking about earlier with Lorient, with Fields, with DJ Thomas, who are already in the fold. Traore right around the same there at 6'7", 220. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists on 44% from the field this past season. You see he can also shoot a little bit there. He doesn't stretch it outside too much, only 27%. Not the best numbers. It is an improvement from his year prior. Free throw numbers did dip this past season, which, you don't want to see. But you look at the year prior, he averaged 8 rebounds. So only 3 this past season, but he definitely is someone that could improve, and you probably would look at to be, a guy that rebounds, 5+ per game. Especially in Ross Hodges' system at WVU, because he's shown the ability to do that in the past. Also has averaged 1 block in the past and over a steal in the past. So the defense numbers certainly there for Traore. And I think you're also looking at a lot of a high ceiling with Traore, with him having multiple years left. If you could keep him around, he would be someone that would be great potential, especially if you're filling out your roster, having him as a reserve player currently in your front court, someone that could really grow into a starter and provide you with key minutes. I think it would be not a bad pickup by any means there for Seydou Traore from Iowa. So there's 4 new names you're going to see on our contact list now as we pull it up here and talk about transfers West Virginia has reached out to and kind of provide updates on some of these other ones. As of course, you guys that have been watching these live streams in the past have seen the names in red have already committed elsewhere or have named some finalists, and West Virginia's not in it, one of the 2. And then, of course, the names in blue are the WVU commitments, as you see Honor Huff, Obioha, Lorient, and Jackson Fields. The 4 recent additions we just covered there: guard Jamel Jones, guard Marcus Millender, forward Jacoby Coles, and forward Seydou Traore, all here on the list now as well. Previous stream, we talked about Parsifala, Tyrell Ward, Jacob Darr, and Kamani Hamilton. And then we have streams in the past where we've talked about all these other guys. West Virginia still in contention, seemingly, for Isaiah Barnes from Tulsa, Terrence Ginyard from UT Martin, Garrig Norman from Michigan State, Duke Brennan from Grand Canyon, guard Don McHenry from Western Kentucky, guard Tayton Connerway from Troy, which I think this is one to keep an eye on now a little bit more than in the past, due to the fact that we just landed Jackson Fields from Troy, right? So does that maybe help us a little bit in maybe landing Tayton Connerway as well? Could we get kill 2 birds with one stone there, so to speak, and get Tayton Connerway, who I think is one of the more underrated guards in the portal? You guys heard me talk about him in the past. I think he's going to be a good player wherever he lands. So we'll keep an eye on that one now. Still also targeting Devin Hade, Makai Mason at the guard position, and then got news on Wes Ennis from Lincoln Memorial. You guys know he was up there on the wish list for me, but I preferred Honor Huff, and I thought maybe if we got one, we wouldn't get the other. I still feel like that may be the case. However, despite Honor Huff committing, Wes Ennis was in Morgantown for a visit. I believe it was yesterday that it was reported he was visiting WVU. So maybe still a chance at Wes Ennis as well. And like I said in the past, if you could land both of those guys, that's pipe dream scenario type stuff, guys. So we'll keep an eye on Wes Ennis where he ends up, but he's very talented coming from Lincoln Memorial. Got an update on Jasper Floyd, another one that we'll talk about. We've talked in the past about there being multiple predictions of him, coming to WVU, which I think would be another solid addition, but still yet to be seen. Ante Brezovic from the College of Charleston, highly sought after in the portal. Kamani Hamilton from High Point was one of the ones we talked about in the last update. So with where we're at with these, let's talk about some guys that I think I would put on commitment watch now moving forward. Let's start here with the update I was mentioning in regards to Jasper Floyd, because I think I still have to keep him on commitment watch, because this is now the third at least prediction that we've shared here on a stream that is predicting him to go to WVU. This one from back on April 12th from College Basketball Jesus on social media. Jasper Floyd, North Texas to West Virginia prediction. Of course, Jasper Floyd has the extra year of eligibility because the JUCO ruling. Average 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists on 42% and nearly 35% from three. Would be following Coach Hodge from North Texas to WVU. So I think that still classifies us as having Jasper Floyd as one on commitment watch that I'm still keeping an eye on. So watch out for Jasper Floyd. I think, Wes Ennis has taken a visit. So, we'll keep him on commitment watch. I don't feel as confident about that one because I think that, when Honor Huff committed, that probably hurt our chances a little bit at Wes Ennis. But maybe, they got him in on a visit. They were able to sell him, hey, we'd love to have both you guys. We think that both of you guys are going to be potential really good players for us, whatever they have to do to sell him. So, but we'll put him on just in case because he did visit recently. And then I think Parsa Fala from Oregon State is another one to keep an eye on as a big man. Like we said, we're looking for another reserve behind Obioha. Fala would definitely meet that category. He's right around 270 pounds, 6'9", 6'10", I believe. So he would be another 5-man for us. We've already had a Zoom call with him, so I think beyond commitment watch for Parsa Fala now moving forward. Beyond that, I would say maybe Tayton Connerway, because of the connection to Jackson Fields, may be on commitment watch for Tayton Connerway, as well as ones that I'm keeping an eye on here in the transfer portal. But those are the ones that I would have on, quote unquote, commitment watch, as we like to call it here when we update these transfer portal contacts. And like I always like to say, this is definitely not a full list of every player WVU has contacted that's in the portal. I mean, it's tough to keep up with, but this is everyone I've been able to see throughout this cycle. I've added it to the list, and I continue to update it here on these streams as more names are added, as more guys commit elsewhere, as West Virginia lands more guys. We'll talk about it again on this contact list in the near future on another transfer portal update. But that's pretty much what I had, guys. Other than that, I'll catch up on some of your all's questions and comments. Then we'll get ready to call it a stream here before too much longer. But let me take a swig of my coffee real quick before we do that. But definitely wanted to come on here and talk about Jackson Fields, who I think is a really good addition to what's shaping up to be a really impressive transfer portal class here for Ross Hodge and company and their debut season with WVU. I think we'll see how it ends up. But I would say at this point, I would say the job they've done in the portal is, better on paper than what they did last season. I know, of course, Javon Small ended up being a huge addition, but on paper, you didn't really see that as much as you do here with, a guy like Honor Huff. I think Brandon Lorient is super underrated. Obioha being a 7-footer, something we don't have a lot at WVU. Fields, fits the mold of what Hodge wants to do. So I think on paper right now, this portal class is actually super impressive, especially if you watch the tape on these guys and check out their game a little bit there. So wanted to talk about the recent addition in Jackson Floyd, and then, of course, update you guys on some more West Virginia's contacted. We added 4 more names to our transfer contact list and put some guys on commitment watch there as well. So that's what I had. But let me catch up with some of your all's comments here, and then we will call it a stream momentarily. It hits the spot. It hits the spot. Nothing like a fresh cup of coffee. And this is like my third one of the day, but we got the coffee pot where it stays warm or whatever. So you go in there, you refill the cup, with fresh coffee after it's been, kind of lukewarm when you finish the last cup. The first swig when it's nice and hot. Whew, nothing better. Nothing better. Hey, Shane Statmiller, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Right here, Matt Dix's comment falls right in line with what I just said. Ross Hodge and WVU has put together a team currently that is succeeding last year's team. We're only missing the backbone and the player that we need to lead us to a tourney bid. That's a point guard. Hey, what's going on, Trey? Finally made it to another stream. He says the Fields kid looks really tough. Hopefully you find the Buck replacement, though. Yeah, that's what we need, man. That's what we need right there is on the defensive end. I think we need like a lengthy guard to pair with Honor Huff to, really be that scrappy defender. I would like to see us add that as well. Hey, Matt Dix here talking a little bit about Tayton Connerway, one that we just put on commitment watch. Said his name is Tayton Connerway, and he led Troy in scoring, assists, and rebounds last year, and led them to a Sun Belt title in a first-round bid where they ultimately lost to Kentucky. That kid is good, and I like our chances a lot more now. I mean, I liked our chances already a little bit, but especially now landing Fields, that has to help us a little bit for sure. For sure. Michelle Weintraub said, I'm pleasantly surprised at what Hodge has done so far and super excited to see what else Hodge is able to pull in from the portal. Looking forward to next season. Go Ears. Well said, Michelle. I agree. I'm looking forward to it as well, for sure. Trey Edwards says, I just want to know where the money is coming from. What I understood is the donors wasn't on board and wasn't willing to give to the program. I think that got misconstrued a little bit. I think what really it was, Trey, was that some of the donors were upset because they didn't necessarily get the hire that they wanted, but they never came out and said, we're not going to support this hire, though. We're not going to give our money to this. That was actually never said. It was just that they were upset that they didn't get the hire that they wanted. And it was a smaller faction than I think a lot of people have been, led to believe. But they also never said they weren't going to support it. And clearly, they are supporting it because, West Virginia's been making some competitive offers in the transfer portal from what I understand, and you paid decent money to be able to get Honor Huff to come to Morgantown as well. So the money definitely there, and the donors, I'm sure, probably like a lot of West Virginia fans that were skeptical about the hire after meeting Ross Hodge, they probably all came around as well because I'm sure he's super personable. He's going to get out and meet these guys, and I think he's going to be good for fundraising, much like we talk about Ren Baker was, because his personality is just kind of the complete total opposite of what DeVries was, who wasn't, much of a people person, Darren DeSleeze. Hey, as Drumwolf says right on cue, around here it's DeSleeze, not DeVries. Hey, that's right. That's right. Phil Forte is joining Matt Hodge at WVU, Matt Dix. Appreciate that as well. Yeah, we talked about it about 2 or 3 weeks ago here. We first covered Phil Forte joining the staff on a stream 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then day before last, before it got a meteor cycle, one of the channel members had sent me the screenshot of him updating his Twitter bio. So we covered it a couple of days ago as well. And Phil Forte is the one that I've been most excited about. I've been raving about him for a while now. He's the reason we landed Honor Huff, and he's done a great job with guards in the past. You look at what he's done with the guards at each stop he's been at. He's had an all-conference player and usually a leading scorer as well, whether it was Jason Edwards or Tyler Perry. The other one's name is slipping my mind. But, yeah, Phil Forte obviously was a great player, but has been a great coach as well. And Drumwolf, your comment made me remember. Appreciate that because it just jogged my memory. WV1 that won our ESPN Tournament Bracket Challenge, and of course the prize was 2 free months of membership at the Almost Heaven level. He's decided that he wanted to gift it to 2 subscribers each 1 month there. So what I did was I made a random list of subscribers after the last stream. I told you guys I'd updated on this stream, and I picked out 2, and the 2 that it was Drumwolf. That's why his comment made me remember, and Tosh Miller. So Drumwolf and Tosh Miller, if you guys will email me, countryroadswebcast@gmail.com, shoot me an email, and that way I can send you, either via PayPal, Cash App, or Zelle. I think I have Zelle as well. Any one of those 3, if you send me an email with your info, I will get you guys the free month of membership to the Almost Heaven level because WV1 gifted that to 2 people. I randomly selected 2, and it was Drumwolf and Tosh Miller. So shoot me an email, countryroadswebcast@gmail.com if you're Drumwolf or Tosh Miller, and we'll get you that done there for sure. Matt Dick says we're building NCAA tourney team, and I'm proud to have it. Me too, Matt. Me too. Locked on West Virginia said one more. Miles Che. Honor Huff actively recruiting him and former teammates. Oh, okay, nice. So keep an eye on Miles Che as well. We'll have to add him to our contact list, and I'll have his name on there the next time we do a stream. Appreciate that, my friend Mountaineer Paul there, which me and him have been trying to share a list, and of guys that we've contacted here via the portal and stuff, because it's so tough to keep up with. Sometimes he'll have a name and I'm like, oh, I didn't have that name, and I'll have one that he didn't have, and then you'll see one from somewhere else that neither one of us had. It's just so many players West Virginia's reaching out to. It's hard to keep up with. That's why in these updates I always try and tell you guys this isn't a fully extensive list, because it's impossible to have every name, but it's every name that I've been able to see at the time that we do the stream. But add another one, Wad Miles Che, who I think he was on that UC Irvine team too this past season, I believe, as well, and was also former teammates with him at Chattanooga, which another good addition there we could add to the backcourt. Is, like I said, we're looking to add more of those to the backcourt in the future. Huff was on Instagram recruiting him, and Miles Che replied, Country Roads with the eye emoji. Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. That's awesome. Appreciate the info there, Mountaineer Paul. You guys be sure to check out Locked On West Virginia if you don't already, here on YouTube and on all podcast platforms. My guy, Mountaineer Paul, does a great job, of course. But appreciate that update, man. And I appreciate everyone that tuned in here and commented in chat and shared some nice questions and comments today, as always. And I appreciate you guys that tuned in live on Facebook and Twitch as well. If you're on Facebook or Twitch, I encourage you to come over here to the CRW YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. Get access to the pre-recorded videos and podcast episodes we put out in addition to these live streams. But if you did watch on YouTube, whether live or on the playback, be sure hit that thumbs up button. Help us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm. It's fast, easy, and free. Only takes a second and gives us a big boost. Also, if you didn't get a chance to watch this live and you're watching after the fact on a playback, that means you didn't get a chance to chat with us live, but you can still chat via the comments section. Throw your thoughts in the comments on any of the targets here on the transfer list, on the addition of Jackson Fields, or whatever you got there. Always appreciate those interactions as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. But having said that, guys, I will chat with you guys in the near future. I'm sure we'll have more good news on the transfer portal side on the basketball team here, hopefully in the near future. But I'll be back to chat with you guys at some point tomorrow. I got to head off to work here in a bit, but of course we'll have another stream coming tomorrow, and we'll see what other content we get to in addition to that. It's a busy time right now. Football transfer portal about to open. We got the basketball transfer editions trying to cover, and we're trying to keep you up to date on the rosters for both sports here on the CRW, and we'll continue to do that, guys. So as always, I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great start to your week here on this Monday. And until next time, let's go Mountaineers.